Hey everyone, this is Xiaoyuli. Today I'm going to present my midterm project for the class CIS 9467. As we all know, World Cup was over a few weeks ago. After Brazil left in the quarterfinal, the World Cup basically became the European Championship. So today I'm going to do some analysis on the profile for the top 10 football club in Europe. So who are the top 10 clubs in Europe? According to EU Football Association, for the season 2017 to 2018, these are the top 10 clubs sorted by the points they have gotten so far. So now let's look at the data set we have. So the data set was retrieved from Cargo website. It has the information for all the players from those top 10 clubs. It has their personal information like their weight, their height, their weight, nationality, and their wage. It also have the evaluation scores for their different skills, like shooting skill, passing skill, and defense skills. So now let's take a look at the dashboard. The first chart we have is the average age for each club. To create this chart, we will go to the Data tab, select all the data we have here, click on Insert, click on Pivot Table, and then if we select New Worksheet, it'll create a new worksheet to place the pivot table. So since I already created this one here, when you click on that, you will have this pivot table fields on the right hand side. For this chart, we need the information club and age. So drag club to the row area, drag age to the values area. The default for the values area is to summarize data by the sum, but here we need average, so we need to go to the value field settings to change it to summarize value fields by average. And after that, click anywhere in the pivot table, go to Analyze tab, and click on Pivot Chart, and then you will have a cluster column chart created. To make the chart prettier, you can remove the legend, and if you want to remove the button fields button, you can always go to the Analyze tab, and then you can copy, or you can copy, or you can use the Design tab, the Move Chart functionality, to move the chart to the Dashboard tab. So from the chart, we can see that Manchester City actually has the youngest players, while the Juventus actually has the oldest one. For the next chart, number of players by country, we will create a chart in the similar way as how we produce the average age chart. But one question came up that if we want, this chart actually tells us the distribution for different players for all 10 clubs. What if we want to know how many players in Barcelona are from Spain, or what country are they from? So now we need to introduce the slicer to help us solve that problem. So go to country, click anywhere in the pivot table, go to Analyze tab, you will have this Insert Slicer option, click on it, and you will have this slicer options. Because we want to know the information by club, so we will select club and create it. And this is the slicer you will see. Then you can cut the slicer and paste it in the dashboard. So if you go select Manchester City, you can see that most of them actually are from England instead of Spain. For third chart, we will use the same way to create the pivot table and the pivot chart. For the row fields, we will need the preferred field, and we will count the name for unique players. And by playing around with the slicer, we can see that for Barcelona, actually, they have a percentage that is higher than the average. They have 29% of players who prefers left foot. If you go to Manchester City, they have even higher percentage, which is 30%. But if you go to Real Madrid, they only have 14%. And if you want to clear all the filters, always go to the top right corner. You can click on this clear filter button. It'll clear the filters for the chart. Actually, we have 5 charts here. If you create the slicer from the country tab, it'll only work for the chart number of players by country. But if we need to apply this filter across different charts, we will do a right click, report connections, and you can select the tables you want to control by using this slicer. So the next chart is player evaluation. So in the data tab, I actually created 4 menu columns because I want to know how many players in each club actually has a higher have a evaluation score that are higher or equal to 80, and same thing for the shooting skill, passing skill, and defense skills. So here we create a pivot table and we drag all the fields, the menu fields I created. For the rows field, we will use the club information. And based on that, we will create this column table. So we can see here, actually, Barcelona has the most players that have a overall score higher or equal to 80. And by looking at different individual skills, we can see that Real Madrid actually is more focused on passing, and Juventus actually is more focused on defense. So the last chart is a value and overall score. So value actually means how much money each player is valued. So this chart, I set the default as the top 15 players because it's really hard to show all the players. But by applying the nationality, you can see the value and or score for each country. And same thing for the club slicer. So if we remove all the filters, we can see here Buffon actually is valued at really low price, but actually he has a really good overall score. But the reason for that is probably because he's a goalkeeper. So from this project, I think the most important thing I learned is how to use the slicer, because oftentimes when we want to do some analysis for the data, we actually want to play around the data to see the distribution or the statistics for different category. So this slicer actually helps me to do a deep dive into the data when I do my job. And also my current job actually only use Excel 2010. So for those fancy features like pivot view, pivot map, I can't really use them. But a slicer feature is available in 2010, so it'll be a big help for my daily job going forward. Thank you for listening.